Hello and welcome to the start of a vlog. It's the start of a vlog. And there's kitties everywhere. Yes, you read that title right. This is the start of a no coffee vlog where at first it was just going to be a fun experiment to be like, haha, I'm almost out of coffee. How long do you think I can go without drinking another coffee? And then I went to the doctor today, and the doctor says my heart rate is way too high. So he said I have to cut back on caffeine and cut out coffee. And then he also has to put me on another medication. So I'm like, oh, fun. Don't have a strokes, folks. Everything you love will be taken away from you. So anyways, I'm enjoying, after learning that, my last two cafes. And I do have like a little bit of Coke Zero in there as well, which I will, which I will also deal with. But yeah, no more caffeine is gonna be in this house by the end of today because of that. Oh crap! Sorry, Loomis. Didn't know you were there. Sorry, buddy. He was sitting there, and I went, burk. He's okay though. So I'm currently going to be listening to an audiobook for finishing up the short story collection Predator If It Bleeds. This is actually a re-listen for me. I was listening to it a little bit the last vlog I did, but now I'm finally going to sit down and finish it because I want to do something calming and enjoy my last day of coffee. And I had to start this vlog today because I'm sure tomorrow I'm like, I'm just dying. So today will be interesting, but it will be normal. Tomorrow, oh goodness. I really need to take out all the recycling, which I was going to do yesterday, but then there was a giant-ass snowstorm, and they're still clearing out all the giant snowstorm stuff, and it's cold. Oh, it's so cold outside today. So, yeah. So that is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be listening to that audiobook while I'm going to be putting together the rest of the Dragon Boy. Because I haven't worked on that since Garb August Wasted Weekend. So that shall be fun. Talk to you later. So I did finish the Predator short story collection, If It Bleeds. And yeah, that's a great short story collection. I do think that there's like 3 stories in a row near the very end of the book that are kind of meh. Like there's a Vietnam story that's kind of meh. There's like a story where a guy gets like captured during the Cold War that's kind of meh. It's like half interesting. There is a sequel to Predator 2 with Harrigan, and that one's kind of eh. But the other stories are quite good. All of the stuff up to those stories are actually great. Like there's some really good stories near the start of the collection, and I think that really makes it like a worthwhile collection overall. And the last story by Jonathan Mayberry is a ton of fun. It's like a story where it's like set in the future, where there is this guy who is like fighting in this arena, this televised arena, and he has to fight a predator for big bucks. So that was very exciting. This did not go well today. I don't know if you can tell, but like, yeah, it's not going well. Like, if you look down there, there's so much freaking glue, and that's because I have been trying in vain to get this stupid thing on. As you can see, this like gets covered in glue. I gotta like soak it or like figure out what to do for like glue removal, because like I had to go out and buy Gorilla glue because like I could not get this freaking thing to stay with the Cynadel glue, and now it's like finally staying, but yeah, it doesn't look good. Like you look at all that, like you can see the glue. That's bad. It's bad. Oh, maybe if I can figure out a way to paint it where I like paint it like the glue spots like green or something, where it's like goop. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, from a distance, he looks cool. It's just like when you get close up, it's like, yeah, no. I seriously cannot understand who made this piece. This piece sucks so hard because it has to go like foomp and a frump like that. But the problem is it does not stay Because, like, there's supposed to be, like, there's, like, a piece there. Again, the glue needs to be freaking removed. That it's supposed to, like, fit in there somewhere. But it doesn't fit perfectly. And that's probably because I slightly put something in wrong once. Like, I think that the book here is a little bit askew, which is setting the whole thing off. But, like, the fact that that is so particular is, like, maddening. Because, yeah, I gotta, like, do that. And then the problem is it just kept sticking and would not stay. So, yeah. We'll see. I can definitely finish that tomorrow. It's not a huge deal. Like I said, like, oh no, did I fucking ruin the fucking head? No, I think there's some more things. Anyways, it's not, like I said, it's not a big deal because, like, everything else does look good. Like, even if I, for whatever reason, opt to not put on that, because it's one of the final tusters. So it's like this goes there, and then there's, like, some kind of, like, thing that, like, goes up around in here, which again is, like, I don't know. He's a little bit precariously perched there because, like, this is supposed to hold it up, but, like, that's, like, glued to shit. Anyways, I don't know how much people find model building and stuff interesting, but I have just royally failed at this point. But that's okay. And I can still try to make it look cool. And again, I think it was fun enough to put together and figure it all out. It's, like, a very complicated miniature because, like, there were so many pieces. I will not have that difficulty with the rest of this army. This is the big centerpiece, so it's, like, super complicated. But most of the other ones, especially because they are based off of older models, are going to be much more kind of straightforward and easy to go. But yeah, I mean, again, it doesn't look terrible. It's on a little bit askew, and that is my own fault. But that is that. So I'm going to go put this guy away. And then I'm going to let the cats back in here because they're like, let us in, please. Please, sir, we want in. Why are you not letting us in? Why are you not letting us in? And yeah, I did go get Gorilla Glue. So I have, like, Gorilla Glue and, like, normal glue. I was just going ham. Really trying to get that piece on. It wasn't working. It didn't help anything that I cut my finger when I was trying to remove a little piece, cut my finger bad, and then I got glue all over my fingers, so, like, I was being glued to the piece I was trying to glue. So, like, that's probably the bigger reason why it wasn't sticking, because I was sticking. So I think once I, remove the glue from that one piece, and then try again, it's good. I mean, he doesn't fall off here. Like, that is pretty good. Like, it is good that, like, at least it worked. Because, yeah, he's not falling off. Nothing's falling off. So, I gotta be happy of the little wins. The dragon still looks cool. It's just the guy on the dragon there was so many little pieces. I'm like, guys, you couldn't have come up with a better way to put, like, this chariot that he's on top. Like, you couldn't have figured out a better way. It's, like, so complicated. So many little pieces to glue. I was like, why? It's, like, way more than just to make the dragon. Anyways. For the rest of the night, I will be just kind of relaxing and reading some more of the Frankenstein Legend by Don Glut. And probably falling into some weird rabbit holes. Like, last night when I was reading this, I found out there was a 1946 short story collection edited by Boris Karloff. And that was the very first book that Forrest J. Ackerman, the progenitor of Famous Monsters of Filmland, when he met Boris Karloff for the first time, he had that book signed by Karloff. And I was like, whoa, that book sounds really cool. So I did all the Googles and tried to find it, and it, like, goes for a lot of money online, but there was one place that had a hardcover copy of it for, like, a half decent price. So I was like, I gotta buy it. And then I also found out that near the time of Boris Karloff's passing, Forrest J. Ackerman also was very much writing and interviewing people who knew Boris Karloff and Boris Karloff himself. So he actually wrote a book in 1969 that was all then contemporary discussions with Karloff. So that, like, all that stuff was really cool. And I found that one. That one is actually archived on archive.org. Wow, archives on archive.org? Who would have guessed? But yeah, no, this is good. I have no idea how I'm gonna feel tomorrow because yeah, I got all of that caffeine is gone now, and there was quite a bit of caffeine left in the house. So, oof, I don't know. I'll tell you how tomorrow goes. We'll see. But for tonight, I will actually be doing research. Toodaloo. Loomis is currently trying to manipulate me to give him more food. See, he's slow blinking at me, and he knows. He knows if he slow blinks at me, I go, oh my god, it means he loves me. And then I'm going to give him more food, but he's already had his food today. To be fair, I think somebody else ate some of his food. The problem is I don't know who ate his food to make up the difference. I might just have to give him a little bit extra. I mean, he is slow blinking at me. And, you know, oh my god. Look at him slow blinks. All right, I'll get you more food.
So it's not your orthodox business orthodox. You know, when you get empowerment with money and stuff, you have to face corruption.
So yes, you did see that right. I did have one coffee today. So far, only one compared to the 4+ coffees I normally have. Oh, I'm still dying. But I did have one coffee, and I think I'm going to probably have to slowly wean myself because I was like dying this morning. So for now, I'm going to have like one coffee a day just to slowly wean the caffeine addiction off because yes, I was having too much coffee, but also I want it all. So today, I did read a little bit more of the Frankenstein legend by Don Glutt. I filmed a YouTube video about all of the bookmarks. Boop-de-doop. All of my bookmarks that I could find. And then I think I'm going to go to both the library to return these two books. And then this one I'm just getting the Libby hold is about to show up. So I'm like, I'm not going to read the physical copy. I'll just listen to the audiobook. I have a whole bunch of things on hold. And then I'm going to go to the used bookstore, but I'm not going to buy anything because I don't have the money to. So I'm just going to stare at things longingly. Like I'm looking at puppies and it's like the 50s. Like, oh, I want that puppy in the window. And then I'm going to come home and just chill and read. Loomis is using laser vision. So I got another 60 pages into the Frankenstein legend, and actually quite enjoying this quite a bit. We're finally getting into the making of James Whale's Frankenstein, which was the main reason why I read this book. But there was some valuable information beforehand, especially when they're talking about some of the play adaptations, because I wasn't aware that much of that original 1931 Frankenstein film is based off of a play. There was a play that was written, and then it was kind of an adaptation of that play. And a lot of the weird little inconsistencies from like the book to the film, like the Henry instead of Victor, and little things like that, did come from that play actually, which is really interesting. So that is kind of cool. And then I also, while I was going for a walk today and doing all the running around, I did start the audiobook for Troll Slayer, which is the Warhammer fantasy, not 40k. They're different things. So don't get on me. It's a different. Warhammer Fantasy is different. Whatevs. And this was the start of the Gortrek and Felix books. Now these were originally this, like, the first book is a collection of short stories that were kind of like edited together to be one book. You can definitely tell that they started out as short stories, especially when like the second one has like an ending where you're like it kind of like implies a character might have not lived through a situation when you're only halfway through the first book. So you, as a reader, would know that, there is going to be more to this. But still, it was really, really, really good and really, really entertaining. I can see why these two characters have got such a big fan following, and there were so many books written about them. Because Gotrek is like a slayer, which is a dwarf who has been exiled from his community and must atone for a crime by dying in the most epic way possible, and in a way that will free his sins and will get him into the good graces. And his only thing is like to get a good death, slaying something that is like progressively more and more powerful. So like as the character grows, he will become a different type of slayer each book because he's like growing into what types of animals and creatures he's fighting. But his main purpose is to die a glorious death. And he is oath bound and befriends this human who is like from a very like high society place, but he has been exiled from his community as well, and is trying to learn how to live on the road. And he is a poet, and he is following Gotrek so that he can give him an epic poem for all of his exploits and when he passes on. And it's just really, really interesting. And the friendship between these two characters is very interesting and unique. And yeah, it's got a lot more to it. It's you can definitely tell that the fantasy universe is from a grimdark setting almost instantly, because it just has that little bit more of an air of danger and of open criticisms of like how the government is run in these areas, and how like protesters are dealt with, and like these little world building aspects that really kind of enhance it and make it a more interesting fantasy universe than a lot of fantasy universes that I come across. Because in some cases, grimdark just means like murder, murder, death, death, blah, and like there's plenty of that here. But there's also like you can tell that the grimness is not just from murder, but also the other horrors of the world. So I really, really enjoyed it. And the characters are really good, and their friendship is great. I can't wait to read more. So yeah, I had a pretty good reading day overall, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I did have one more coffee, so I did have 2 coffees today. I'm kind of trying to wean myself off. 2 is pretty good for how much I usually have, so if I can go to 1 tomorrow, that would be awesome. But if I have to go for 2 for a little while to continue to cut back, like I'm not gonna beat myself up about it too much. I gotta like keep doing stuff. I also bought some decaf to just try out, and it actually wasn't bad. I kind of crapped on decaf, but for ages I've crapped on decaf, and I need to maybe just incorporate into my life a little bit. We will see. So yeah, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Goodbye. So, this is the only update for today. Sorry, I haven't been doing a lot of updates on these vlogs, mainly just trying to stay alive. I still managed to only do 2 coffees today. I did 2 coffees and then 2 things of decaf, which I thought decaf meant there was absolutely no caffeine, but apparently it just means there's like barely any caffeine. So it's still better, but I guess there's like a little bit of caffeine in decaf. I did not realize that, but still, it's like much better than what I was doing. So only 2 straight up glasses of cups of coffee, and I'm still feeling it. It's not fun. I'm riding it out. I would ideally like to get down to 1, but I think for this week and this vlog, I'm going to be sticking to 2, and then after I get used to it a little bit, then I can go back. Then I'll go down. Regardless, I did almost finish this book. I only have about 100 more pages of this book left. I got done all the stuff I need to make notes of, so I can actually get this book done read fairly quickly. I'm kind of surprised. There's really not... both books I've read, the nonfiction books, there's not really that much background information about the making ofs for the Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. I mean, like, I guess in comparison, because I did a big King Kong research project and there was like tons and tons and tons, but like I still have probably about like 5 pages of notes already that I need to collate for the eventual thing. And this book has particularly had a lot of really good information about the lead ups, and because it covers things like the theater productions, it's like really, really quite valuable. So I'm just kind of going through all of the film versions so far, but eventually the what I have left is like all of the literary adaptations, and that's where I found in the other one, the Dracula book with John F. Glut, this like a similar style, but it's read with Christopher Lee's face. I found Count Dracula's Canadian Affair from there, so I'm kind of excited. I also did listen to one more short story in the Troll Slayer collection, which is the first Gotrek and Felix book. And yeah, that honestly, I think that might be a 5-star. I'm really, really liking it. I really like the character interactions. I really like the characters themselves. And I just find it a very interesting fantasy. And now a cat is stepping on the book. He's just going cray cray. But yeah, that's all for today. Not too much exciting going on. This weekend, I'm going to be doing something a little bit more exciting, which is leaving the house. So, I mean, I left this house to go for a little walk today, but not a long walk because it was snowing again. So yeah, hopefully I will have some more interesting things to talk about soon. But I am really enjoying the books that I'm reading, so it's not a bad reading vlog at all. Toodaloo. Okay, I literally only have 20 pages left for this, but I'm too tired tonight, so I will finish the last 20 pages in the morning. This is really good, really informative. Of course, my wallet is not going to like me for the sheer amount of books I've added to my TBR based off of this book, which is a similar thing that happened with the Dracula book as well. I did finish Troll Slayer, the first Gotrek and Felix book, and I just love that book. I loved it a lot. I think it might be a 5-star. I'm going to sleep on it and think. But it's like, it's one of those stories where like it's clearly a series of short stories. It's clearly a short story collection, but they all like tell one story with the same recurring characters from adventure to adventure to adventure. And I just really like the style it's written in, and I just really find the relationships in it very like heartwarming. Even though it's kind of like gruff and grimy and the universe is kind of dark, it's like also weirdly kind of charming and nice. Some of the plots are such that you, as an experienced reader, will probably know where they're going, but the journey to get there is where the rewards are found and are really, really enjoyable and delightful. So I really enjoyed that, and I did really enjoy this book as well. The last, nothing crazy is going to happen in the last 20 pages. So this will be the last time I talk about this book as well. Yeah, so overall, some good reading. What will I do next week? Next day. What do you think, Blueberry? He's like, I'll fight you, bitch. And then there's Moose. I promise there'll be cat footage tomorrow. I was just reading all day, and it was snowing, and it was just, I was tired most of the day. Talk to you tomorrow. Hello, it is the next day. I actually ended up finishing the Frankenstein book last night before I went to bed. I got a second burst of energy, so I finished that. So today I went out to the Warhammer store because I had something to pick up. But also I need to go today. I was going to go tomorrow because there's a book coming out that I was kind of interested in tomorrow, but actually I'm not that interested in it, so it's fine. But tomorrow morning, this little girl has to go to the vet. So the ear stuff is still not resolved. We thought it was ear mites. It definitely isn't. There's something else going on. She's still bothering her ears. Her ears are still getting gunked up. And I've been washing them out, and I've been like taking care of them, and it still is happening. So she's got to go back to the vet to figure out what exactly is going on with her to see if we can't get her feeling better. Because Wisteria's not been having good few months because the ear stuff has just been bugging her, and it's really hard to fix it. Other than that, though, I'm going to be getting through some of my library books because I have a lot of library books, and I have like more library books on hold. So I have to get through some library books today. Later today, I have a live stream, but that I'm posting for my Patreons. But I'm gonna start out with this book, which is a very short kind of novella. It's only about like 190 pages or so. So I'm gonna start out with this because I got a whole bunch of the Horus Heresy Primarch series from my local library because those are like kind of tied into that big giant series I did because it focuses on specific characters in it. And I don't even really like this character, but I do like this author, so we'll see how I think about that. And then I started a new comic book series called Radiant Black, and I just got a whole bunch more of Radiant Black's volumes and a spin-off of it. And Radiant Black is kind of like an original Power Rangers-esque story. As you can see, like there's a lot of like colorful designs and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to read more of that stuff that was kind of all inspired by Power Rangers. And I read the first volume a few, like I think earlier this month, and I really, really liked it. It was really, really good. So these are what I'm going to be focusing on reading probably for the rest of this vlog. Really, we'll see. And then I went to the Warhammer store, as I mentioned, because I came to pick up this. Now, I had actually ordered, so this is the store exclusive short story collection from 2 years ago, I believe. And I had ordered the one from last year, and it just had never shown up. So we were trying to figure out what to do about it, and the owner said, "Hey, I have a copy of last year's. I can just give you that if you don't mind." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" It kind of sounds cool. So yeah, totally fine with that, and a fun way to look at all of these little stories in here. And I just kind of like the look of it. It looks pretty cool. And then while I was there, I did, because I just finished that Gortrek and Felix, the first novel, Troll Slayer, and I decided to pick up one of the newer ones because I was just like, oh, it's kind of interesting. I want to see what the story is like in the modern day, considering that it's been going on for ages, and also that it's Gortrek and Felix is not there anymore. So, and it's in kind of like almost a different universe. It's very hard to explain, but one day I will explain what's the difference between Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer Age of Sigmar. But first off, I have to actually figure that out because I don't really know. And then while there, I also bought this hardcover of The Ghost of Barak Minos. And I just love the cover. I actually have a arc for the first book in this series, and I'm just like, I was kind of like being like, oh, I don't know, should I buy this, should I not? And then I was like, you know what? I will never, because what happens with Warhammer hardcovers, they're like printed once. There's only a limited supply of them, and they're gone forever. So if I ever bought this again, it would be like a paperback, and I almost guarantee I will like this because I like the author. Like Guy Haley is one of my favorite Warhammer authors in general. But in the very rare, surprising case that I, for some reason, don't like this, this will easily retain its value and even more some. So I'm not too worried about getting something like that. So yeah, that is today. And I think now I'm just going to kind of relax and read until I do a live stream of Frankenstein Conquers the World, which I'm doing for my patrons later today. Now, I did order this. I believe this is like a fake. Yeah. This is definitely not a legit version of this DVD, and that's because the DVD is very hard to find. But anyways, I will be streaming that. Okay, let's see how today goes. Bye-bye. So it is Saturday evening, and yeah, we took Wisteria to the vet this morning, and yeah, it was a more serious ear infection. It was not the ear mites like we thought originally, so she had to get, I think it was like a yeast infection. She, at one point when she was kicking around in her ears when they were scratchy, probably from the ear mites. At one point, she broke the skin, and it gave her like an ear infection. But what they did is they did like a full in-depth clean, and they gave me a bunch of medicine for her, and she's obviously not happy about it because she does not like getting things stuck in her ear. But in the end, it will help. Yes, it will help you, little girl. It will help. It will make you feel better. Yep. See, I had to take her to put a medicine in her mouth, and then I had to do another dose of the ear medicine. So she is not happy with me today, and is very skittish. So I'm just gonna leave her alone for the rest of the night. So a reading update. I actually got quite a bit of comics done. So I got most of this volume done last night. But this was really interesting because this was like what I thought the comic was going to be, where it's like, I thought it was going to be like, this is your Power Rangers team, and everything's kind of going forward. And it is kind of that, but it's not as much like, they're not usually all together all the time. It's usually maybe like these two, or like these two, and they kind of like switch as far as like who's with who. But like at this point, they were all teamed up and they all met each other for the first time. And it was really, really interesting and went in some places that I was not expecting. And there was this cool place called, what was it called? Like Elsewhere? I think it was like. Yeah, so it's called Existence. Yeah, I don't know why I call it Elsewhere, but it's called Existence. And the art in this section is so cool and vibrant. I won't tell you what is happening really here, because it's kind of like a spoiler, but mainly it's like this awesome looking artwork. And there was like kind of a twist that happened, and I was like, oh, interesting. And then I read the next volume, which kind of introduces and has this supervillain team that our main character goes up against, kind of like his Sinister Six, that kind of thing. And again, still really liking it. And at the end of this, it really introduces a very interesting and unique concept. And that's where this one kind of plays into. And when it does, that concept that you think, oh, this is going to be the status quo of this book going forward. At the end of this volume, there's like another shakeup. So I'm really kind of impressed about this comic book, in that like it really kind of changes your expectations as you go in, and it's got really cool artwork, and the characters are really interesting because it's like a lot of very like lost 20-year-olds. And I don't know, it's like I think it'd probably be relatable for a lot of millennials, and it also has some really cool superhero artwork, and there's some like surprising scenes that I really liked. And Loomis is like, the only surprising thing you should like is me, bitch. He's like, I'm a superhero, bitch. I'm a superhero. You're my little superhero. And then I read the first volume of Rogue Sun. Now, Rogue Sun is technically in the same universe as Radiant Black, so there is a series of... The way that I learned about this one is there was a Humble Bundle on recently for a bunch of Radiant Black stuff, where it was like all of the things that were like kind of tied into it, and like there was Rogue Sun, there was something called Inferno Red or something, like Inferno Girl Red or something, and it all sounded really interesting. Dead Lucky, I think, was one of the other volumes of one of the other heroes in this universe, but I put a hold onto all the ones that my library had, because I just wasn't sure if I liked them or not. I kind of wish now that I had just bought the Humble Bundle, because yeah, they're pretty awesome. This is like really cool because this is all taking place in New Orleans, and the main thrust is that there's this kid who his father abandoned him when he was very young, and it's just been him and his mom for years upon years upon years. His dad dies, and he finds out his dad was a superhero, kind of like Batman in a way, and he was not a good dude. He was a very bad dude. He had a second family after them, but he pretty much cut off his original family, and he dies mysteriously at the beginning. And in his will, he bequeaths the thing called the Sunstone to his son, so that his son can just become the next superhero. And he, as like a soul, is kind of still existing in this the body. So it's like a teen who really hates his father, having to always deal with the fact that his father is there whenever he's being a superhero, and he's got to kind of learn from his father and then kind of learn the truths about his father. And it was really, really cool and interesting. A lot of great artwork. And also, like, this has like a very horror basis to it, and like this is like like a demon who just like goes in and eats souls, and it's like really cool. There's like this crazy freaking redneck vampire werewolf that is like really fun and like silly and wild, and like I love it. It looks super super cool, and the central mystery is pretty surprising. I love the world that this builds, because like it's him like encountering all these people who have dealt with his father before, and they immediately go, "Oh, you're just a kid. Like we know you're not the real dude. Like I've dealt with him for years," and like this guy's called Suave, and I just kind of love that. There's like a really kind of like a weird Lovecraftian element going on with the main types of villains in the story, and yeah, it was just really cool. All taking place in New Orleans, and has some awesome artwork, and it's like a more horror bent to it, so it's kind of like a more dark superhero tale. Yeah, so I really like that. I'm gonna definitely be reading more. I think I'm gonna buy Supermassive, which was the one shot tie-in book, like one shot like event book that like tied in all these disparate elements. After I read the other ones, because I know my library didn't have that. But anyways, this was really good. And for the rest of the night, I am just going to be reading this Warhammer book. So, yeah, that's my night. I'll talk to you guys in the future. Toodaloo. Moose definitely kicked Loomis off of his perch today. Glad, stay with your own food. Stop trying to eat other people's. Yes, good glad. Yeah. It's a Sunday morning. Meow, meow, meow. Did not do a whole lot of updates yesterday. It's about midday. I am just kind of relaxing, and I did some walks because the weather's finally getting better. I did not buy the book Cat Crimes #2, even though it was still at my used bookstore. I was on Sprints last night, and that was a joke for anyone who attended that, because it is a short story that Richard Lehman wrote for a cat book, and it is awful. We can undoubtedly say that CriminOlly has written better cat stories than Richard Lehman. You should put that on your grave. Better than Lehman. You don't have to say that I made the quote up, but it's true, Ollie. You're better than Lehman. Anyways, I have one more book that I want to finish before this is through. But we will see. It is the Lemon Russ by Chris Wright. There's only about 100 pages left of this. I just did not get any reading, even though I was on reading sprints yesterday. I got no reading done. Wisteria is doing so much better now that she is on. She's still kind of cautious of me because I keep having to give her meds and put stuff in her ear. But like, she is doing so much better now that we have the proper medication in her ears. It is really, really a breath of fresh air. She is back to her dislike of everyone else. I've been listening to the audiobook The Talon of Horus, which is a book that is kind of like a sequel to the Horus Heresy, where it's like talking about how the main villains of, I mean, everyone's a villain in Warhammer 40k, but the easiest way to describe it is like how the main villains of 40k came together, which is the Black Legion, which is demons and other various peoples. It's really, really good. I'm really liking it. It's just, it's one of those books that you probably would have to read to understand what was going on. But it is quite good, and it's written by Aaron Dembski Bowden, who is always like the best writer in terms of Warhammer books. So yeah, I'm enjoying that, and I'm going to finish this, and then I'm going to hopefully go back to some good old-fashioned Frankies, because I do have quite a few Frankenstein stuff that I got from the library, including this, which won't take long, but this is a book that I've always wanted. I would love to get a full collection of Crestwood House monster books one day. I never will, though, because they go for so much online. These were old and dated back when I was a kid, but my library still had them. They don't anymore. Like my old home library doesn't anymore, but luckily there are still a few in the Saskatchewan library systems. And yeah, this is the book that like was my first ever interest in Frankenstein. Like, this is what really kind of introduced me to the character. And it's so funny that it is using come on, Blueberry, what you doing, dude? Okay, he's skating. It's using, instead of Karloff's image, like, this is definitely Lon Chaney Jr. as Frankenstein from, I believe this is from Ghost of Frankenstein. Well, it would have to be if it was Lon Chaney Jr. And that is absolutely the worst Frankenstein book. So it's really interesting that that's the one that is on the cover of this. But I'm reading this more for, down to the days of yore, back when I first was introduced to all these things. Yeah, so I'm excited. And it has like such good photos and stuff, and introduced me to the whole entire Frankenstein mythos. So reading this for old time's sake. Excited about that. So let's see how today goes. Toodaloo.
Watched it together, so that was a fun time. We were really roasting that movie on the car ride home.
It's the next day. I'm going to be finishing my reading today, and then going to be uploading for Patreon, I think. If not, you're getting it publicly, I guess. Currently have them voting on which video they would like to be a Patreon exclusive. Anyways, ooh, look at that. Look at that. So what happens is Loomis goes, meow, meow, meow. So he jumps on my shoulder. I pick him up. He goes up there. But as soon as he goes up there, these two are both go right here, and they start meowing. Like, hey, come on, come on, come on, come on. So then I bring one up. And then Claude's like, wah, wah. And then I bring the other one up. And then it's like, bitch, it's crowded now. I want down. But the problem is, the reason why I put Loomis up there is because he's really fucking annoying. And I was like, this will make him less annoying for a while. But then the other cats are like, but we want to be annoying. So now I'm going to be stuck. Because what's going to happen is Loomis is going to be like, meow, 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 as soon as he gets down. What do you want from here? What are you looking at? What do you want? Is this the thing you're always looking for? Ow, Susan's close. Anyways, I'm going to finish the Lehman Rush book today, and then I'm going to probably read, Pain is what I'm going to read. Wolverine versus the Predator, which I just want to read it. So it's a comic book, so I'm going to read that. Let's hope Loomis will not be super annoying the entire day. Spoiler alert, he will be. He will be. He used to not do this. He was, for a while, entertained by the TV, where I could just throw on the TV and he would be entertained. But now all of a sudden he's like, nah, my TV phase is over, Dad. You gotta find other ways to entertain me, bro. That is my life. That is my life. Look how cute they are. Okay, so one of the last updates, as you can see, it's not a Patreon vlog because you're viewing it publicly. I gave them a vote to see what kind of video they wanted for a special video, And earlier today, it looked like this was winning, and the other one got switched. So my Patreon video is movies with multiple novelizations. So I finished these two books. Now, this book, I only had about 90 pages left of it. I've been reading this for a while. It's actually was really good. So I actually don't like this character. So Lehman Russ is in charge of the Space Wolves, who are basically like the Vikings of 40K. And anyone who knows me knows that I absolutely despise Vikings of all types. But what's really fun about this book is that this book pits him up against his brother, who is Lionel Johnson, who is my other least favorite, one of my other least favorite like Primarchs of these guys, and he has his legion is called like the Dark Angels, and they are basically like the old timey like we are the knights, we are knightly folk. So it's like the barbarians versus the knightly folk, and they're both like trying to take over and colonize this planet. Before the other person beats them to it. So there's like this emperor who has got this like big he's got like I guess not that big, but it's like it's a relatively large spacefaring empire, and these two are trying to take over that empire and bring it back to their father, who is the emperor of mankind. And what's fun about this is they're both fighting to get to the tyrant, they call him in the book, and make sure that they are the ones who, in the records of the Imperium, are the ones who brought the planet to heal and brought it back into their society. But what's really fun is that the society that they're taking over is very much clearly built to reflect what they are doing, because like the emperor is like sickly on an old throne as he's like an old man, and that is just like in Warhammer 40,000, where the emperor of mankind is, where he's like a corpse emperor shackled upon a golden throne forever. So it was very much trying to reflect that the same empire that they are building and the empire that they are trying to take down are basically one and the same, just one is more powerful than the other, and that's the only real difference between the two. So that is a fun thing, because I think Chris Wright really gets the internal horrible nature of everything in Warhammer 40K, which is what I like about the franchise. And then he and Lehman Russ and Lionel Johnson have a giant duel at the end, and it's awesome because I'm like, yeah, I hate you both. Punch each other. Do it. Swing, swing, swing. Because Lehman Russ is such an asshole. He does so many terrible things in Warhammer, and so does Lionel Johnson. And Lionel Johnson is very cold about it, where he's very much like, I must protect, I am a barbarian. Where the other one is like, it is my duty to be a son of a bitch. So it's very fun to see them duel. And it was actually just a really well-written book. One of the strengths about Warhammer is sometimes, even if you don't like the characters a book is about, if the author is one that you enjoy, like Chris Wright, I love Chris Wright, they can capture and tell an interesting story, even if they are not characters that you would normally pick up a book from. So had a great time with this. I'm going to go take this back. And when I get back, I'm going to read a few more little books, and then I'm going to be calling it today. And a vlog, even. I've decided because I started reading the movie monsters. I've decided tonight I'm just going to read and skip to the Bride of Frankenstein mini novella portion of this book, and then read the rest of these later. I'm going to be kind of going through next week and going through some of my books that I had on my TBR and just getting the important research elements for the Frankenstein thing, just because I know I won't be able to get a chance to read them all cover to cover. But what was really fun is I also read this, which is one of the Crestwood House monster books. These are the books that I grew up on. This book here was my first exposure to Frankenstein. I absolutely love these books. And reading them as an adult, the Godzilla one. There's like a Godzilla one of this. There's like a King Kong one of these. The Godzilla one definitely does not have all accurate information, but this one was like surprisingly really, and like it makes sense because like these were written originally in the 70s. What we had from translation and all the information that we have today, we did not have that back then. So I do not hold it against the books that the foreign ones were not as accurate as the ones that were like most of the information was available in English. But yeah, this one does a really good job. Like it starts off where it's like kind of like almost like a mini novelization of the events of the first Frankenstein movie, but then it goes into and it has all these wonderful photos, and then it goes into the history of the character, like a little bit about the book, and then about some other adaptations, sequels to the Universal films. And yeah, it's actually a pretty damn good, encapsulation of Frankenstein that is truncated and showcased to a kid. Like a kid would be buying this back in the day. And even though it's like made for children, there are still some really gruesome elements of this. It doesn't like shy away from the fact that like there are murders and deaths that happen. Like this is a picture in there, and like that's a pretty gruesome picture from The Curse of Frankenstein. So yeah, I was really impressed with this, just as someone who has actually read and done more in-depth research. There's nothing really in here that is blatantly false. And it kind of encapsulates a lot of stuff that a book like that I read earlier, The Frankenstein Legend, encapsulates, but does it in a much smaller package and without, making it friendly for kids to read. Obviously, this is better for a research project, but it's still impressive that in the 40 pages or so of this, Ian Thorne, who was actually a pseudonym for a woman, so it's accurate that I learned about Frankenstein originally from a woman, considering that Mary Shelley wrote the novel originally, so that's cool. Ian Thorne was a pseudonym for a female author. But anyways, yeah, that was really cool. I love that. So I'm going to go bring these two back to the library, and then I'm going to be reading Predator versus Wolverine, and I'll probably just try to get the one little novella of Bride of Frankenstein done tonight. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. All right, I guess I lied about Predator versus Wolverine. I didn't realize that the trade paperback doesn't come up till April 10th. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll buy the individual issues. All four comics together is $10 on Kindle. Number one, just the first issue is more than four of them put together. It's $11. It's like, no. I heard this is good. I remember, so I'm now even more annoyed because I actually had the chance to get this at my local comic book shop, but I said no, and I said no because it was stupid expensive, the single issues. And I guess I'm right, because I obviously should have waited until I will wait until the 10th of April to read it, but that's a bummer, because I was like, oh yeah, but I'm like, look at this, even issues 2, 3, and 4 are all like only $1 or it's about $1.50 less than all 4 issues all put together. Comic books. Oh, wait. Comic books. Oh, well. I'll wait. Toodle-doo. I guess I'll read that one novella from Bride of Frankenstein. That'll be the last thing tonight. Okay, bye. So it turns out my when I was recording my last clip was the correct because I was like, oh, wait. Would this comic be on Marvel Unlimited? So if you're new to comic books or you're new to digital comic books, Marvel has a thing called Marvel Unlimited, where for like $10 a month, you can read as many comics as you want. It's like basically like a Netflix or like a Scribd, but for Marvel comic books, and the only stipulation is that it's a few months behind. Now, I have not used Marvel Unlimited since it looks like 2016. Like, I was looking at it, I was like, I feel like it must have been a little bit after 2016, but like not much after that. It's not a service I use that often, so I was kind of interested, like, oh, I wonder how much of Wolverine versus Predator will be on Marvel Unlimited. And it turns out the first 3 issues are, and within the 1 month that I got, the final one will also be here. So I will be able to read them all. It'll just be, I think it'd be probably maybe about 3 weeks before I read the final issue, but it'll still be within the thing. And since it was my first time doing Marvel Unlimited in a very long time, there was a promo code to be like, and you get 50% off. So for about, I don't know, $5 US, I'm reading this, and I guess I'm going to be reading a bunch more Marvel comics, just because. Yeah, so as you can tell, it's pretty awesome. So far, the Predator is fighting a orca right now, and it's very silly, and I'll let you know what I think of the first 3 issues when I finish. Toodaloo. Sometimes people try to demean reading comics digitally, but this is why I think that reading comics digitally is actually quite beneficial. Very minor spoilers for issue 1 when I click the next panel here. This is still on issue 1. But one of the reasons why I love guided view comics is that jokes like this will work so much better if you're reading this digitally with the guided view versus having the entire page available. So we get this panel about like some guy being like, I've got my money and I'm escaping. Like, that's such a good panel. It works so much better digitally because it's just like, oh, I'm so rich. He is dead. He is dead. So now I want to try to show what it looks like. Yeah, so this is what it all looks like if you're reading it as a comic book. And like, this joke still works. Like, this is still like a funny like boop and a boop. But I do think it works even better digitally, where what happens when you read digitally with the guided view, it'll expand a panel, and then you click the next one and it'll show the next panel. And then it would have showed the reveal of the Predator just walking in. So yeah, I think that's like an interesting thing to talk about when you're, reading comics digitally versus reading them physically. It is a different experience because I didn't know this was coming. Whereas the way you read, that one, like the way you turn the page, you already kind of see that in your peripheral vision, and you kind of know that no matter how you read comics. So it is interesting. Reveals can actually happen now with the guided view. I don't think anyone finds this interesting, but I do. I finished the series via other ways. I mean, I would have done it a few weeks from now anyways, when I still had the subscription, so I do not regret the other ways. Anyways, this was a great comic, and was very fun and kind of silly, but in the best ways. Who would have known that Predator vs. Wolverine would actually be good and fun? This is the second crossover with Wolverine that actually ended up being good. The first one being the X-Men and the Star Trek Next Generation crossover, Planet X, by Michael Jan Friedman. I don't know if anyone... I had that as my recommendation for my hosts for last year's Old School April. I don't think anyone read it, but regardless, it turns out that if you cross anything over with Wolverine, it's kind of fun and kind of good, including this series. So there you go. And I believe that will be the end of this vlog. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Toodaloo.